And last time we have discussed our fear of being in control or being controlled by someone that comes again through civilization of humanity, that we're always scared that someone's going to control what we do and how we do things, and then we want to be in control, and our desire to make sure that when we hold everything together, it's in our hands, it's going to go a safe way, the way we want it. So what do you think when you think about fear of being controlled and the desire of be in control of situation? What does in your mind, in your perspective, is going to take us as our humanity, or in general, personally? When do you feel in control? Does it make your life better?
To some extent, I think it's we're, as we discussed last time, we're still trying to find a best combination and best mix or harmony of being controlled, and while having freedoms, or while having ways for individual and collective development. Uh, you know, I had a very profound exposure to legal practice and career historically, and there's been a huge debate over the last 300 years about freedoms, democracies, liberties, and where is the borderline, where is the boundary to the freedom of one person, and when it sort of touches upon freedom of the other person, how can we operate as a society. But in terms of control, I think we we haven't found any efficient model to live as one species with such a huge population on one planet without some rules, right? And then rules, in the ideal state, they should be fair. They should be equal in terms of treatment and application, and they should create this space where everyone has some sort of level of freedom, where individual is not controlled by anyone except for his or her own mind and decisions, and then where this freedom has some boundaries, and then the boundaries are the, you know, the red lines for the freedom of the other person, with the neighboring person on this planet, in a way. And then that's the whole idea. Again, historically, you know, dictatorships or some unhealthy regimes, whether in society or in groups or in businesses, they were basically cannibalizing these other freedoms, taking them over, and manipulating with this whole bubble of you know, freedoms. So for me, being control to some extent gives me peace of mind. But then when I, as a person, go too far with my you know, micromanagement and control of everything in my life, whether it's personal or professional, I am actually seeing that I'm becoming more anxious and more worried about everything, and I'm entering this vicious cycle and loop of constantly living in worry about each and every micro element of my life. And then I realized multiple times so far, but probably most of it in the last 5 years, that I'm not God. I'm not the you know, mother or father universe to be in control of every molecule on this planet, and even my life and lives of my beloved ones or those who I care about. So there should be this some point which you know, we're trying to figure out every day, where you release it and just let it flow, and let it happen the way it should happen, and manage your perception and your reaction towards what's happening and your expectations. So probably this is where we actually need to start working on ourselves, and where the actual freedom and inner peace comes from, you know.
So going from the fear of being controlled and desire to control everything in your life, we came to understanding that it comes from our desire to be free, and if we release and let things settle the way they are, and do you still have the fear that if you release everything, it's going to be out of control?
Yeah, absolutely. I have that fear.
And if you feel that fear of releasing and letting go the way it's supposed to be, do you think someone else is going to be in control, or you're scared of losing? What is the fear? How do you
I
feel
think
it?
I'm less worried about someone else taking over the sort of the controlled space that I had and sort of using it to their advantage in by whatever means. I'm more worried about. So I had this sort of life path until now, and I came to the point where I am, and to some extent it all happened because I was trying to control or impact certain things in my life, or decisions in my life, or other people, or make turns in my life in the way that I kind of saw plausible and reasonable. And without control and the steering wheel at some point in time, I wouldn't be able to get to this point. So I'm more worried about, okay, if I completely 100% release everything and just let it flow like a Buddhist monk, then where my life is gonna take me, I have no visibility about the road, the pathway that it's gonna take, right? So I have no involvement in shaping it up. So I think, from my sort of humane, low ground perspective, maybe practically it should be certain level of influence on your life, but it shouldn't be overwhelming, too much overwhelming. And we're not in this great sort of aha type of society where you can just sit down, meditate, feed yourself with energy of sun, and just and let it go. We have things in our life that we need to sort of resolve and be responsible for, and people in our life that we need to be responsible for.
So from coming from the fear of releasing and letting go, losing the control of everything, we went to the process that if we do this, then we go back to our initial perspective that we are scared of uncertainty and changes that comes if we lose control. And from losing control, going into the fear of uncertainty and changes that comes the way that you can't see it, we went to the issue of being trusting society and trusting people, and understanding if we lose control, how can we trust people around us? If we lose it, they're not gonna take advantage of it. So it comes to our feeling of belonging in the society that we can't trust.
Well, yes, the trust issue is one of the major drivers for things that are, you know, creating the fears and creating these threats we've discussed, including technology. People are trying to validate or reason the creation of technology in a way that we need better solutions for transparency, for accountability, for track record of what we're doing, for all of these things. So if you look at like 70-80% of pitch decks for any new software solution or digital solution, they would start with solving trust issues. Basically, they would say there is a lack of this or that because of the way society is designed, and we are coming up with a solution that will make things better. So trust is a very fundamental fear, and again, it comes from this expectation that if you're trusting someone too much, they can leverage it and come your way. Like the example about the village in the jungle I gave a while ago. If you don't build the walls around the village, your neighbor may come at night and take your food, your resources, your people, enslave them, and that's been happening many times in the history. So we create this sort of walls around us, and we allow only verified, trustworthy people we kind of sure about to enter these walls under certain conditions. And if these conditions are broken, then there is a bank of trust is broken, the way that we call it as well. There is a great book about it, and that's it. But back to the very first question that you asked me, I'm not that much worried that somebody will take over my life if I just release control and let it flow. I'm more anxious that I'm not gonna act on my mission, on my vision, on my purpose in this life if I just sit down there and wait for everything to happen around. Because I think you should listen to your inner voice and understand this is the circumstances where you need to release control because it's completely outside of your zone, or this is the situation that where you need to take initiative, take action, and sort of hold to it. So I think we need to be really listening to ourselves and connect to the collective, to the source, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, and act on it. Sometimes there is this quote, cool quote I like to use: life either happens through you or to you. And when you say through you, it actually, we are agents of the universe as well. We're like the small ants on the small planet in this large galaxy and even larger space. And we can't just sit there and do nothing. Maybe even inner work on your mind, on your soul is also work. Not necessarily going to war and killing someone, or going and destroying the forest to build another skyrise. But there should be some proactiveness in action. And if it goes too far, it can be a control as well.
So, going from control, being control, and control something in your life, we come to discuss how to have the balance and how to put the structure into not over control your life and be in control what you feel like, and the desire to be certain in the way you see life, to feel like you know what's gonna come your way if you have control of something. And this is something that we can discuss in our next video about why do we think that we are in control, and if we release everything and let go, does it change anything, or is it our fear that we're not going to be able to comprehend our mind and be scared that we don't know what's happening our way? What do you think?
I think are we planning to discuss next time, or you want
Yes.
my summary? Yeah, I think that's pretty much fundamental question, how we find this balance, and what is control, what is release, what is the inner work we need to do on ourselves. So happy to discuss that in our next episode.